Good afternoon. I'm Ray Holder, a PhD student researching VR gamification for computer science teaching and part of the UWS Immersive Department at the University of the West of Scotland. Today I will take you through our PhD research paper Moon-Based VR, Learning to Program in a Virtual Reality Game. I will summarise some of our findings and look to the future of the use of immersive technology within education. Virtual reality is being increasingly used in education, and there is a growing interest in exploring its potential for computer science education. The study aimed to investigate the effectiveness of using a VR game for learning computer programming concepts. The research questions guiding the study were: how usable is manipulating code blocks within a virtual reality game to build computer programs effectively, and what are participants' perceptions of using a VR game to learn programming. The study involved 40 participants who played a bespoke VR game called Moon-Based VR and completed surveys to answer the research questions. The findings show that a large majority of participants felt that using a VR game offered a fun and engaging way to learn to program and increased their interest in the area of computer science. The results suggest that VR has the potential to enhance computer science education and inspire the future development of VR programming applications. In our game, which is playing here, you can discover the future of programming education through an immersive and engaging experience developed specifically for PC VR platforms. Our game utilizes the Oculus, or now Meta, headset and controllers to bring a unique learning experience. Designed to teach the fundamentals of computer programming concepts, our game draws inspiration from the widely recognized block-based visual scripting platforms like Scratch for optimized learning outcomes. The player guides a robot through 10 levels, each packed with challenges to avert disaster. Our game employs a 3D code block system, empowering players to construct simple programs with ease and effectively grasp programming concepts. As the player progresses, they experience the gratification of mastering programming in an entirely new dimension. Our development process was meticulous, involving extensive planning, research, and targeting the ideal audience for the game. The design incorporates best practices for VR development, such as tailoring gameplay to specific inputs and prioritizing player comfort. Our game ensures a smooth, enjoyable experience by offering features like teleportation and ghost walking options to minimize motion sickness, and also by implementing realistic physics collisions for the code blocks. To enhance the learning experience, our game includes a highlight and snap functionality, enabling seamless joining of the code blocks. Furthermore, we have rigorously prototyped and tested every aspect of the game within VR. The culmination of our efforts is a captivating prototype that showcases the potential of immersive learning in the world of programming. The participants were recruited by sending out a call for participants via email to the university's population, with posters placed around the campus and through word of mouth. Once recruited, the participants were invited to book a time slot on campus and asked to complete a pre-experience questionnaire. During their individual sessions, they were placed in VR and played the game for around 20 minutes or until they completed the game. After the game, they were asked to complete a post-experiment survey and a NASA TXL method form. Of the 40 participants, 87.5% of them identified as male and 12.5% of them as female. The largest age group represented was 15 to 30-year-olds. Nearly half of the participants had a bachelor's degree as their highest level of education. At 57.5%, a slightly larger portion of the participants had previous experience with using visual scripting systems, and 62.5% of the participants had experience in object-oriented programming, which is widely used in computer games development. In terms of their experience with virtual reality, all the participants had used VR before this study. Just over a third of the participants had an intermediate level, followed with just under a third of beginners, and another third made up the experience, expert and no experience at all section. But only a small portion of the participants had used VR in an educational setting. The post-experience questionnaire showed that most participants found the game and the VR headset comfortable to use. A large majority of the participants, at 90%, did not experience any discomfort while playing the game in VR, and most participants found using the joystick movement to navigate the game fairly easy to use. We also find that 75% of the participants agreed or strongly agreed that programming with this application can be fun, and 72.5% found that visualizing code using the code blocks in VR made it easier to understand programming. Feedback from the participants was generally positive. Some participants suggested that more advanced concepts of computer programming could be added to the game. Overall, the feedback from the participants suggested that using a VR game offered a fun and engaging way to learn to program, and that it increased interest in the area of computer science. The NASA TXL Load Index is a subjective workload assessment tool used to measure the mental workload of a task. In this context of this study, the survey was used to measure the mental workload of the participants whilst playing the VR game. An acceptable workload level is below 50, while a score greater than 70 is deemed as a demanding workload. In this study, the participants gained an average score of 39, indicating an acceptable workload. Our study has unveiled the incredible potential of VR to create an effective, engaging and enjoyable learning experience for computer science students. Survey results show a large majority of the participants found programming in VR a fun and captivating learning experience, while another 75% reported that the immersive nature of the game highlighted their interest in learning computer science. Clearly, VR gamification has transformed the way programming is perceived and experienced. Participants also offered overwhelmingly positive feedback on the game's design, commending the use of the 3D immersive environment and code blocks, the usefulness of placements highlighting snapping feature, and the progressively increasing difficulty that kept them challenged and motivated. The findings of our study demonstrate that VR can elevate computer science education, offering students a dynamic and engaging method to learn programming concepts. This could potentially increase students' interest and motivation in learning computer science, and ultimately improve their learning outcomes. The study demonstrates the importance of considering new and innovative teaching methods, particularly in the field such as computer science, where technological advancements are constantly evolving. The use of virtual reality can provide students with a unique and stimulating learning experience that may be more effective in fostering a deeper understanding of programming concepts. Further development of Moon-based VR platform could see the implementation of more complex programming concepts and puzzle mechanics that utilize code blocks to solve the problems. There is also potential to implement multiplayer and multi-user functionality to allow for collaborative programming and teacher observation and guidance. With continued development and refinement of the platform, we envision a future where more complex concepts are seamlessly integrated, gameplay is tailored to meet students' specific needs, and future research should focus on confirming the effectiveness of virtual reality in computer science education through further assessment and research. Additionally, research could be conducted in tailoring the gameplay to meet specific learning outcomes and the effectiveness of this approach. summary, my presentation discussed a study that explored the effectiveness of using virtual reality in computer science education. The study involved 40 participants who played a VR programming game called Moonbase VR. The participants completed a pre- and post-experience questionnaire as well as a NASA TXL survey to assess their perceptions of the game's usability and educational effectiveness. The results showed that the majority of participants found the game engaging, enjoyable, and effective in teaching programming concepts, and that the game was not mentally demanding for the participants. I have emphasised the potential of virtual reality in enhancing computer science education, particularly in making programming concepts more accessible and engaging for students. Further development of the Moonbase VR platform and game mechanics could lead to a tailored and more effective learning experience for students. The need for further research and assessment was also highlighted to confirm the study's findings and explore the potential of virtual reality in other areas of education. Overall, the presentation demonstrated that the exciting possibilities of virtual reality enhancing learning outcomes and the need for continued exploration and development in the field. Thank you for listening. I would like to open the floor to you for questions. If you'd like to know anything more about my presentation, you can contact me via my email address at raymond.holder@uws.ac.uk.